What's up, everyone? It's Jamie. I'm here to wish you all a happy season opener eve. Yeah, the name probably needs work, but you know what? We'll run with it for now because it's Saturday. Tomorrow is Sunday. Tomorrow is the kickoff of the NFL season, and we have the Chargers' first game, Chargers versus Dolphins, at 1:25 tomorrow afternoon. So I'm here to say again, happy season opener eve. I'm sure you're all watching college football right now, but I am here to give you my keys to the game. I have 3 offensive and 3 defensive keys to the game, and I'm going to share them all with you, break them down for you, and give you an insight as to how I think this game needs to go if the Chargers are going to win it. So let's go ahead and jump on into my keys of the game. First offensive key to the game for me, the Chargers have to commit to running the ball well. They have to run it at 4 yards a clip. I think if they're at or above 4 yards a clip, they're having a successful day of running the ball. And I think for them, what that looks like is they have to have an identity, which we've talked about a lot during the preseason. And they absolutely, positively have to be organized and understand what the strength of their offensive linemen are and play to those strengths and play to their back strengths. And I think for me, we've seen it. We saw it last year. We saw it in the preseason this year. This team thrives when they run power. I think they've got some real weapons in a power running game. Zion Johnson, Jamari Salyer being 2 of them, guys who can pull and get out in space and just take people out as lead blockers. I think that's a key element to this running game. So I think we'll see some changes to the Chargers running game this year. I think it's going to involve a lot more power, probably some inside zone. I would expect that we will see much less outside zone than we've seen in years past. They're just not very efficient at that. I don't think they've taught it particularly well. I don't think it suits the offensive linemen. So I think that's something they will get away from. I think another wrinkle that we will see introduced, hopefully starting this week and throughout the season, is more designed running plays for Justin Herbert. We know Justin can run. We know he can get out on the edge of the defense. He can extend plays. He can manipulate the pocket, but he can also make plays with his legs. And I think we've seen that from time to time. We didn't see it as much in 2022, mostly because he was hurt. He had the rib injury. He had a shoulder injury at the end of the year. They just weren't comfortable letting him run. Excuse me. And I think we will see more of that this year. I think one thing that Kellen Moore did exceptionally well last year was finding ways to get Dak Prescott out on the edge of the defense and giving him run pass options. He did this on third downs, third and medium, third and short. He also did it really well in the red zone, and it was really effective and really dangerous and productive and efficient for the Cowboys in the red zone last year. So key number one, commit to running the ball and run the ball well with power and inside zone and involve Justin Herbert in the running game. I think if they do that and we see somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 carries split, however you want to split them up between Austin Eckler, Isaiah Spiller, and Joshua Kelly, I think the Chargers are going to have a really good day, and it's going to make things a lot easier in the passing game. The next key for me is I think Justin has to be more willing to attack downfield against 2 high safety looks, specifically cover 2 and cover 6, which are 2 areas that he struggled with in his first few years in the league. I think this is something that the coaching staff is going to be working with him on. I think it's something that he just has to get comfortable knowing he can fit that ball in that window between the corner and the safety. He can layer it 15, 20, 30 yards downfield and have success doing that. He doesn't just need to dump the ball off automatically when he sees 2 high safeties, which is a pattern that he can get into at times. And I'm sure the Dolphins are planning on that. So I would really like to see Herbert take those chances, drop that ball in the bucket, if you will, outside the numbers, along the perimeters. I'm not talking about throwing 30, 40, 50-yard passes. What I'm talking about is picking up chunk plays in that 10 to 20-yard range that help move the sticks and take those, 15, 16, 18 play drives that we've become so accustomed to seeing the Chargers have just to kick a field goal. Take those and turn those into 9 to 12 play drives with chunks, with a tempo, with a rhythm, where they're pushing the ball down the field and they're not trying to set up third and medium and fourth and short, but they're trying to move the ball on second down in larger chunks. I think that has to happen along the perimeter. I think it also has to happen by splitting the safeties in the middle of the field, particularly between the hashes. So we'll see how that goes, but I think that's a big key for them. I think the last key on offense, and this is an obvious one for me, uh, the Chargers have to be able to block Christian Wilkins and Zach Sealer. These are two guys who ate them alive last year. We didn't really see much from Bradley Chubb and from Jalen Phillips last year. Most of the success the Dolphins had in terms of wrecking the Chargers running game and wrecking the Chargers passing game at times came from the plays that Wilkins and Seal were making inside. They really ate up the Chargers interior offensive line. This is going to be a huge test, in my opinion, for Christian Wilkins. I'm sorry, for Zion Johnson and for Jamari Salyer, because both of these guys really need to show that they can play at this level, that they can play against this level of competition. So it's going to be a big test for them. Can they control the line of scrimmage? Can they control Wilkins and Sealer? If Zion and Salyer can do that without a ton of help, it really makes the Chargers more diverse offensively. It opens things up and it makes things easier on them. If one or both of those guys require extra bodies and are wrecking the game again, it's going to create some really big problems for the Chargers moving forward. So, key number 3, control Wilkins and Sealer inside. Um, from a defensive standpoint, I think the first step for me is simulating pressure. There's going to be a lot of focus on the Chargers getting pressure on Tua. We're going to be talking a lot about the matchup of Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack on the edges against the Dolphins questionable tackle tandem. They obviously, we know Teron Armstead is not available this week. They're going to be starting Kendall Lamb at left tackle, and they're going to have Austin Jackson protecting Tua Tagovailoa's backside or his blind side. So with those two tackles there's going to be a lot of focus placed on, can the Chargers get to the quarterback? And yes, getting to the quarterback is important, but I think just as important for me is speeding Tua up by making him think that you're bringing extra bodies to create pressure, and then dropping those guys back underneath those deep overs, the slants, and the other in breaking outs they like to run, to hopefully get defenders in places where Tua is not expecting them to be. Adding on to that, I think as you are simulating pressure by giving blitz looks and giving pressure looks, I really think the next step is to win with 4. You got to win up front with 4. You have to be able to get to 2 with 4. That allows you to drop 7 men back. It allows you to flood the middle of the field and force Tua to throw the ball outside the numbers, which is something we know, especially if he has to move his feet, he's not terribly comfortable doing. That ball is going to float, and you're going to get opportunities for interceptions. So defensive key number 1, simulate pressure and then drop guys back into coverage. I would expect that we will probably see some cover 0 looks, in particular from the Chargers at times. Point number 2 is getting to 2 of the 4 rushers. Point number 3 for me, the last and final key for me, which I think is really important, is I think they need to mix some Tampa 2 looks into this group. They had some success doing that last year with Drew Tranquil in particular. I think now with Eric Kendricks wearing the green dot, somebody who we know can cover and has made some plays in coverage, I would not be at all surprised to see Kendricks dropping deep down the middle of the field and trying to get him in positions where Tua isn't expecting to try to force some turnovers. I really wish Deion Henley was playing in this game. I was all set to make a prediction that Henley would have his first NFL interception playing Tampa 2 against the Dolphins. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen this week. But I definitely think we're going to see, at the very least, some tip passes in the deep and intermediate middle part of the field, and maybe one of those leads to a pick. So keep an eye out for that. I think those will be big things. So just a real quick cap for me. My 6 keys to the game: commit to the run and run the ball effectively. That means a 4-yard per average clip. We're talking about running the ball 20 to 25 times, split between Eckler, Spiller, and Joshua Kelly, and getting Herbert 5 to 6 looks in specific situations, maybe in the red zone, maybe on 3rd down, to let him make plays with his legs and add another wrinkle to this running game that has struggled so much over the last couple of years. Offensive key number 2, attack the boundaries between the corner and the safety. Attack those holes in the cover 2 and the cover 6. I know we don't like throwing the ball deep against twin high safeties. I get it. But at some point, you have to be able to show that you can make those throws. You can't just go auto check down and dump the ball off to Austin Eckler every time you see two safeties deep. So that's something I would definitely look for. Offensive key number 3, got to control Wilkins and Sealer inside. It's absolutely critical. You have to be able to keep them out of Herbert's face, and you have to be able to keep them out of the backfield when you're trying to run the ball. 3 defensive keys: simulate pressure. I think we'll see some cover 0 looks, like I said, dropping extra men back into coverage to try to flood the middle of the field. Get to 2 of the 4 rushers. Again, we need to be able to get to him with 4 rushers so we can drop more. The Chargers can drop more people back in coverage and create tighter windows for Tua to throw into. And finally, mix in some Tampa 2. Maybe see some 5 to 6 snaps, maybe 8 snaps in key third down situations where you're dropping Kendricks deep down the middle of the field, trying to get him into a passing lane and disrupt those deep overs, those slants, those in-breaking routes that the Dolphins really thrive on. So that's it. Those are my keys. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Just a quick reminder, we did launch our new schedule this week. We're very excited about it. As you can tell, I'm excited. I even produced an unscheduled show. But our new schedule here: Tuesdays, Score More with Garrett. Wednesdays, the walkthrough with me, where I break down the weekly matchup. Thursdays, TLR Roundtable, which is our mailbag and variety show. Fridays, I Got 5 on It with Craig. And then, of course, on game days, after hours, immediately following every game, whether it's Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Saturday, whatever the case may be, we will be here going live after every game. And then, like today, you'll probably get a few one-offs as well, solo pods, hitting up keys to the game and some other things. So thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you very much. Hope you enjoyed this content, and we'll see you for After Hours on Sunday. Thank you.